My name is Lesley McAra. I am the Assistant Principal of Community Relations here at the University of Edinburgh. On behalf of all of my colleagues, can I offer you a very warm welcome to our 2024 International Women's Days lecture. It's supported by GENDER.ED and the Institute for Advanced Studies in the Humanities, of which I have the great pleasure to be director of as well. And it's wonderful to see such a large audience here. This is the first International Women's Lecture since lockdown. It's great to see you all here. So before we start, I just want to say something about the shape of the evening. We're obviously going to begin with the lecture, and we'll have a Q&A after the lecture. And then I don't want you to leave, because we're then going to have a short prize-giving ceremony. And this is specifically the Huan Chan-Ying Prize, which is an award which recognises excellence in GENDER.ED's flagship undergraduate course, which is called Understanding Gender in the Contemporary World. So we'll have a prize giving, and then we will all then leave and have a reception just outside the corridor to celebrate this wonderful evening. So that's the shape of the evening. So International Women's Day is held on the 8th of March every year, as I'm sure you all know, and it's a global day celebrating the social, economic, cultural and political achievements of women. The IWD, as it's known, is now over a century old, with its first gathering in 1911, which was supported by more than 1 million people even in 1911. Today, IWD belongs to all groups collectively and everywhere. And in keeping with this, the 2024 global theme for the day is Inspire Inclusion, with a second theme from the United Nations of Invest in Women, Accelerate Progress. Importantly, the day also marks a call for action for accelerating women's equality. Now, in making any such call, we must, of course, be mindful of the immense pain and suffering that many women and children continue to endure across the globe today. And we must reflect on the spheres of influence which we can all have in whatever small ways, as a university, as a community, as fellow members of humanity, the influence that we can have to support action for change and to help the world to heal. Now, as I was saying at the beginning, this is the first International Women's Day since the COVID lockdown pandemic, but we're really, really pleased that we're able to put it on once more. Previous lecturers have included the best-selling novelist Philippa Gregory, Olympic gold medalist and also law school alumna Catherine Granger, and renowned biologist Professor Dame Anne Glover. So we are absolutely delighted this year to welcome Amina Shah, Scotland's National Librarian and Chief Executive of the National Library of Scotland. Amina has more than 25 years of experience across the cultural sector in Scotland, spanning the public sector, third sector charities and higher education. She was previous CEO of the Scottish Library and Information Council and Director of Programme at the Scottish Book Trust, as well as President of the Chartered Institute of Library and Information Professionals in Scotland. She's a member of the court at the University of Dundee, a visiting professor at the School of Cultural and Creative Business at the Robert Gordon University, and a member of the advisory boards of the British Library and Common Purpose UK. And she's also a fellow of the Royal Society of Edinburgh. Absolutely wonderful CV, and what an inspirational speaker that we have this evening. So the title of tonight's lecture is 50 Ways, and I'll allow Amina to explain what that means in a minute. Please join me in welcoming Amina Shah to the stage.
Thank you. Thanks, Leslie. I'll just get some water. Can you all hear me okay? Because I did a classic mic rearrangement when I went to the loo, so hopefully it's all right. And thanks so much, Leslie. I can't believe that I'm here and I've been asked to do this, and to see all of you here, it's so incredibly warming. Thank you so much. Those of you who know me will know what I mean when I say that I am an eternal optimist. Anyone with 4 children has to be, I suppose. And my optimism also leads me to saying yes to lots of things. Leslie just described my CV. And I seem to have, can be compelled to have boundless enthusiasm. And that is how I approached this amazing invitation. Of course I did, why wouldn't I? But it wasn't until just before Christmas when Ben emailed me and said, what's the title? The reality kicked in. I just put it out there right now, I am not an academic. This is an ancient and revered seat of learning. So full disclosure now, I will not be demonstrating any knowledge of gender studies, sociology, law, environment, justice, or any academic discipline whatsoever. I also won't be talking about 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover, which was the first thing that came into my head, and then I realised how deeply misogynistic it actually is. So make a new plan, Stan. I come to you today to simply speak about my experience, and I'll just be speaking from the heart. So I was born in Pakistan in 1974, which means on the 31st of July this year, I have been on this planet for a whole 50 years. I love birthdays, and my own and everyone else's. What a thing it is to be alive and to celebrate your journey and all your travel companions. I love the way the years and the people leave marks on us like rings on a tree. They show where you've been and what's happened. Some years leave harder marks than others. Some are light and you grow more. Who you are, and it gives you pause for thought of where you want to go next. So if you will forgive me for being self-indulgent tonight, why not? I want to put these two things together this evening to include the stories of women who've inspired me, who are part of my rings, who've been on my journey, and who've become part of who I am. And as well as looking back, I want to touch on the future and the women of the future and what that might hold. So what better way to do that than in the form of my favourite sort of document, which we do too few of now. We've got lots of amazing ones in the National Library if you want to see any. A letter to my daughter, Molly. Dear Molly, do you remember the Russian dolls you used to have? Each one smaller and had smaller ones within. Did they represent the family of dolls, all the different ways to be a doll, or the same doll and all the ways that she had changed? All the things that she could be. The layers of reinvention, the growth, the change. You can be all the dolls or none of them at all. There are so many ways to live a life, and often so many lives to live within a lifetime. You are from a long line of women who sailed their own ship and followed their hearts, changing, adapting, growing. Women for who the years left deep, deep marks, including your great-grandmother, Mary. A handsome guy from India moved into the pub her parents owned when he was studying at Imperial College in London. In 1935, she left London and sailed with him across the world to India. Happiness and carefree adventures met her there, love, until partition made them one of the 14 million displaced people. Some estimate that nearly 2 million died. No wonder she slept with a knife next to her and crossed the borders with 2 small children, Ali, your grandfather, aged 2, my father, and his 4-year-old sister, Jan. Mary was a dreamer and a romantic, and she grew to be a warrior and a protector. But she couldn't protect her daughter completely. At 17, Jan was forced to marry her cousin. She couldn't go to university as she so dearly wanted, and like her brother did. Her father died by that time. Mary, then a widow, far away from her support networks, was held at gunpoint by her brother-in-laws and forced to let her daughter go. In a small act of defiance, Jan, my Auntie Jan, never took her husband's name, unusual for the time. She chose the name Firdaus, meaning paradise. She had 5 children, lost 2 sons, fell in love with a poet and escaped being stoned to death for adultery by hiding in this town in Edinburgh, in my parents' council flat in Wester Hailes in the early 1980s. Later, she would return to live in Murray, in the foothills of the Himalayas, with her poet and their daughter, where they set up a school for women and girls who wanted to be educated and didn't have the support of their family. I visited her there when I was 16, and I walked through clouds. In her house, she had secret meetings about feminist interpretations of the Quran. She hid from the Mulvies her whole life. Jan was a victim of forced marriage, a grieving mother, a sister, also a lover, a rebel, a brave resister. She met her sister-in-law, Patricia, your grandma, for the first time on Patricia's 21st birthday, when she left her family, being one of 9 from Maryhill in Glasgow, having been threatened by her Uncle Pat's gun for going out with an Asian guy, an Omar Sharif lookalike that she met in the library, my dad. She worked in the library just meters from where you live now, Molly. She arrived in Pakistan in February 74, pregnant and penniless. A few years later, again in this city, in Edinburgh, she found another life, one of CND marches, women's lib, cider and cigarettes, walks in the meadows, and Joni and Carole King on the record player. Her friends included a woman whose children had died of AIDS, a woman whose family had died in a house fire. Some were married and traditional, some were lesbians, free lovers, single women, folk singers, fearless rebels. They sang and painted in our kitchen, danced, ate bowls of lentil soup, went to Helio's fountain, made earrings in the grass market. They resisted, they defied expectation, and I watched them. I listened, I heard, I witnessed the joy. They included me. They inspired. All difference was celebrated, and it made them all the stronger. These women were breaking barriers again, defying expectations. They still do. A sisterhood of support and encouragement. Grandma left behind her oppressive and controlling marriage when cutting her hair and wearing jeans caused fights. Books, libraries, education, friendship were the vehicles she used for liberation. From a wee lassie who wanted to be a nun to a women's liberation activist, painter, crafter, student. And from that too I watched and learned. Maya Angelou, Angela Carter, Margaret Atwood, Alice Walker, Sylvia Plath, Bell Hooks, Jeanette Winterson, green spines of Virago Press books. They were the ones I read from her bookshelf. Not one the same. So many versions, so many ways to tell the story of being a woman. In libraries, I found and keep on finding my own. The covers are different. The stories are worlds away. Libraries are magical that way. Like a porridge pot, when you take from them, somehow you get more. Zadie Smith, Arundhati Roy, Naomi Klein, Caitlin Moran, Kate Mosey, Marianne Keyes, Claire Keegan, Ali Smith, Nadine Aisha Jassett, Mary Oliver, Kirsten Innes, Hannah Lavery, Josie Giles, Jackie Kay, Alif Shafak, all telling stories of the lost, the silenced, the difference, and stories lost in the margins of time, to show there is no one unifying experience of womanhood. Even within ourselves, we grow, we change, we move. Earlier today, I was part of an inspirational program of speakers talking about women's histories and how they've been erased from as far back as 1500s with Mary Maitland, and the librarians, the activists, the writers, the artists of the Harlem Renaissance. These stories and the sharing of them and all these stories make me feel fueled, make me feel alive. As do my friends, my sisterhood, the women who hold me up. I've been so lucky to see them go through life, grief, love, loss, be confident, laugh, fuel each other. Sometimes they're smashing glass ceilings in their professions, becoming presidents, becoming judges, some making new paths altogether. Sometimes they're nursing wounds, their own or their ones of others. managing grief, work, children, toxic relationships. Some are making their own adventures and exploring the world solo. They have held me up when I have fallen, witnessed me changing as I have them. And so many of them I have met through work. Even Alison and Lorna, Judy and Moira all started as colleagues that I admire. Anna, Katrine, Philippa, they've all taught me how to be a public servant, how to change, how to do good, how to raise the bar and keep on going through the tough times because of the tough times. Others have become friends through being family. Eileen and Kirstine, who are my board of advisors on every challenge, and especially on what loud music to play to beat the blues and self-doubt. Kevin's mum, Alison, the only woman accountant in her class, and she now shares that maths genius skill with her grandchildren, making them ace the tests. His aunties, Kathleen and Mary, who led organisations and now lead the food bank and make sure everyone keeps on keeping on. And Molly, your darling Auntie Tamsin, still making life beautiful for everyone around her, including her own girls, still working with flowers despite a devastating diagnosis and despite supporting your granny, who's made her own transition from stellar architectural publisher to living with dementia and losing her own story. And what about you? 21, just about to graduate. You don't yet know which pavements you'll walk when autumn leaves fall. But have things changed for you? Is the world more equal for your generation, for women and younger women, for Minnie, for Stevie, Harper, Gracie, Lara? A recent report in The Guardian, published on the 1st of February this year, showed that there is a wider divergence than ever before between the politics of young women and young men. 1/5 of young men aged 16 to 29 support Andrew Tate and think feminism is harmful. Donald Trump is on our television again every night and has fixed the Supreme Court to such an extent that Roe versus Wade has been overturned. His populism goes on. And it's not just men. Right-wing leaders rise, and we see their philosophy in women too. Men are victims in all of this too, of course. Humanity is the worse for it. Proving that just because you're part of one sort of marginalised community doesn't mean you can't hate another. We see it all the time. Toxic patriarchy controls our world. Our geopolitical landscape is devastated by wars and bombs. Antonio Guterres published today on LinkedIn a post that said this: global crises are hitting women and girls hardest. Wherever there's conflict, climate, disaster, poverty, or hunger, women and girls suffer the most. In every region of the world, more women than men go hungry. In both developed and developing countries, a backlash against women's rights, including their sexual and reproductive rights, is stalling and even reversing progress. At our current speed, full legal equality for women is some 300 years away. This rate of change is quite frankly insulting. Half of humanity can't wait centuries for their rights. We need equality now. That means accelerating the pace of progress across the world, and that relies on political ambition and on investment, which is the second theme of this year's International Women's Day. We need public and private investment in programs to end violence against women and drive women's inclusion and leadership in digital technologies, peace building, climate action, and across all sectors of the economy. We must urgently support women's rights organisations fighting against stereotypes, battling to make women and girls' voices heard, and challenging traditions and cultural norms. Currently, they receive a paltry 0.1% of international development spending. That must change. Tech rules have created algorithms designed by a few to make even a smaller group of men rich. Misinformation feeds much of this authoritarianism and exacerbates the fall of democracy. But your generation, are much more than I have ever witnessed. You know all of that. Your eyes are wide open. You teach me, you teach us to check our privilege. All over the world, young women are raising up like never before. Sarah Everard protests and vigils. Greta Thunberg leading the school strike, standing up to power at 16. Malala Yousafzai, a 2014 Nobel Peace Prize winner at the age of 17, shot in the head for going to school. Amanda Gorman, 26-year-old poet, feminist, activist. All those brave Iranian women in the Masha Amini protest, the battle over the right to not wear the hijab. This generation of women and girls is changing. And within you, be emboldened of the stories of the women that have gone before, the women that are with you now. You have them all inside of you, the Russian dolls. And when we stand together, we are stronger. Please know you are never alone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amina. Thank you so much for speaking from the heart. And I think speaking from the heart is something that we don't often hear about, actually. It's that emotional reaction, some of the really awful things that are happening in the world, but also the sense of hope that you bring and the sense that Molly's generation also brings. I think Molly will be in bits at the moment. But things that I picked out, I mean, speaking from the heart, but also reminding us of the importance that actually even small acts of defiance can actually be tremendously powerful. The importance of celebrating all difference, something really important, and coming together in those early stories that you told, they seem to be, to me, tremendously powerful, and that's something that actually urged you on within all the success that you have had too. And the fact that there are so many lives to live, and that we can have hope. So although the times that we're living in seem sometimes to be things that we are so difficult to change, what you've given us is a sense of hope. So thank you very much. Can I ask you all to give another round of applause?
Oh, thank you. Thank you.